I am Dr. Shipra Dua, Associate Professor, Department of Journalism and Mass Communication from Jagannath University, Jaipur, Rajasthan. Here I will discuss understanding the medium. First chapter is to understand the medium, what is the history of radio, what is the origin of radio. We will discuss it here. When radio broadcasting started, it came to India soon after radio was invented in the last part of the 1890s. The first experimental radio broadcast in India was done from the roof of Times of India building in Bombay on 20th August 1921. In February 1922, the first transmitting license was granted. In November 1923, Radio Club Calcutta was launched, but it did not start broadcasting for almost a year. 31st July 1924 marked a red letter day for India. On that day, the first radio program went on air. The Madras Presidency Radio Club telecasted it. This was not regular radio broadcasting. This was amateur broadcasting soon. Such amateur radio clubs were started in Calcutta, Bombay, and Lahore, which was then part of India. Regular broadcasting in India was started in 1927 when the Indian Broadcasting Company Limited came into being. This was a private concern started by a group of Indian businessmen. They were they were inspired by the success of the European Broadcasting Company and started their company with two very weak transmitters in Calcutta and Bombay. Radio sets were costly and there were many listeners. By 1930, the Indian Broadcasting Company had about 7,000 listeners. The company could not grow much and soon started losing listeners. The same year, 1930, the Indian Broadcasting Company handed over the Bombay station to the government. It was renamed as the Indian State Broadcasting Service. Lionel Filden was the first controller of Indian State Broadcasting Service. When All India Radio came in Delhi, the long and complicated name was changed to the short and easy name, that is All India Radio. On 8th July 1936, soon in 1938, shortwave transmission began. After that, after 1936, in 1939 to 45, high power transmission was started by All India Radio. During the war, all news bulletins were broadcast from Central Newsroom. This led to the establishment of the News Service Division of AIR. Also, the External Service Division was established on 1939 with a broadcast in Pashto language. When people started get bored and radio was losing listeners, then in 1955, after independence, commercial radio started. So we will discuss about that era. In 1947, All India Radio had only six stations in the major cities, a few low power transmitters, and there were about a mere 2.5 lakhs of radio receiver sets. Soon, pilot stations started and low power transmitters were installed. By 1951, 25 stations were functioning, but AIR had not gained much listenership and popularity. While the English speaking elite listened to BBC, the common people used to listen Radio Ceylon, which broadcasted Hindi film songs. To counter this, the commercial broadcasting service was launched. It is popularly known as Vivid Bharati. The arrival of Vivid Bharati saw a big change in the popularity of AIR. A major change took place in 1988 when the national channel of All India Radio was launched via satellite. AIR today, as on 1st January 1999, All India Radio had total of 195 broadcasting centers. Out of these, 109 more than 100 are regional stations, 74 local radio stations, and 9 are relay stations. All India Radio covers about 90% of the total area of the country and 97.3% of the population. There are about an estimated 10 crores of radio sets in India. All India Radio covers about 90% of the total area of the country and 97.3% of the population. There are about an estimated 10 crores of radio sets in India. All India Radio, as per as on in 1999, 1st January 1999, AIR had total of 195 broadcasting centers. Out of these, 109 are regional stations, 74 local radio stations, and 9 are relay stations. All India Radio covers about 90% of the total area of the country and 97.3% of the population. There are about an estimate 10 crores of radio sets in India. All India Radio offers broadcast in 24 languages and 16 dialects as part of its home services. As part of its national services, All India Radio broadcasts 88 news bulletins in 19 languages. Privatization of broadcasting. In recent years, very important developments have taken place in the field of radio and television broadcasting in India. With the advent of television, it appeared that the importance of radio had gradually diminished. This actually happened for the some years and radio ownership and radio listenership decreased considerably. But radio is appeared once again in the form of FM transmission. The FM transmission stations are working as local stations, catering to the local needs of the listeners. The partial privatization of FM broadcasting has also made the radio an important medium of mass communication. The programs broadcast on FM are becoming very popular with the urban youth as the program catered to specifically to them. Moreover, FM broadcasts are also becoming popular in cars and other vehicles. They provide necessary information regarding the roadblocks, traffic, and weather, etc. to the motorist. FM broadcasting has gained a lot of popularity in the last few years. Objectives of privatization. The objective of the government for radio in the ninth five-year plan was improving the variety of content and technical quality of radio. On the technological front of the focus shifted from medium wave to frequency modulated. The objective was to improvement of program content, providing wider choice of programs, improving broadcast quality, enhancing technical features, renewal of old and obsolete equipment, addition of new facilities at radio stations, to open up FM broadcasting for entertainment, education, and information dissemination by commercial broadcasters. To make available quality programs with the localized flavor in terms of content and relevance, to encourage new talent and generate employment opportunities directly and indirectly, and to supplement the services of All India Radio and promote rapid expansion of the broadcast network in the country for the benefit of the Indian population. Phases of private FM radio development. Phase 1 is what has already happened. In this phase, 108 frequency had been put on bid. 22 frequencies were operational and 2 were deemed operational. One has closed down this year. Phase 2 would consist of two parts. One part would consist of those frequencies offered in Phase 1, which are not operational, and additional frequencies in town already covered in Phase 1. The second part would consist of frequencies in new towns not already covered. These frequencies are being finalized by a committee set up by the government, and later in these recommendations, some suggestions have been given in this regard. Phase 3. Phase 3 would consist of those frequencies which would be put on bid after Phase 2. Bidding is over and some experience has been gathered about the performance of Phase 2. Recommendations for Phase 3 would naturally follow such experience and would be made at later date. The overall objective would be to achieve the target of 60% coverage of population by FM radio stations. Of this, 30% had already been achieved by All India Radio at the start of the 10th plan. During the remaining period of the 10th plan, it is expected that private FM will complement in an increasing manner the efforts of All India Radio in achieving the objective of 60% of the population. What this underscores is the need for a massive expansion of private FM radio services. Community radio is a medium of expressing and sharing views, thoughts, ideas, problems, and prospects of rural, backward areas, remote areas, disadvantaged, and hard to reach population with the mainstream population. As the medium of the media of the root level people of the disadvantaged area, community radio has become popular in recent years, and it has opened a new arena for both the policymakers as well as grassroots people to be involved in the development process of their community. Origin of community radio. In the beginning, when radio came into being in the 1920s, radio sets were very costly and they were not manufactured in India. The radio sets were imported and only few people could afford it. Some sets were provided free of cost by the UNESCO. These sets were kept in the community hall of the selected villages, used to be assembled in the community center and listened to the radio. This became very popular. But after some time, when India started producing radio sets, followed by the transistor revolution, people started listening to radio programs in their own sets. Then the importance of community radio went down. When government liberalized licenses for setting up FM radio and private TV channels, they also decided to grant licenses to educational institutions. This system of radio is known as community radio. Objectives of community radio. The basic objective of community radio broadcasting would be to serve the community in the service area of the license by involving members of the community in the broadcasting of their programs. For this purpose, community would mean people living in the coverage zone of the broadcasting service of the license. The license will be issued for a period of 3 years. The license will not be transferable. An applicant will not be permitted more than one license. The license shall ensure that nothing is included in the program which offends good taste and decency, contains criticism of friendly countries, contains attack on religions or community, or which promote communal attitudes, contain anything defamatory. The government or its authorized representative shall have the right to inspect the broadcast facilities of the licenses and collect such information as considered necessary in public and community interest. The government reserves the right to take over the entire services and network of the license or revoke, terminate, suspend the license in the interest of national security or in the event of national emergency, war similar type of situations. The government reserves the right to modify at any time the terms and conditions if it is necessary to do so in the interest of general public or for the proper conduct of broadcasting. At the end, we can say that community radio has immense potential of has immense potential for the people, and it will really prove to be alternative radio. Role of community radio in community development. Community radio plays a vital role in the communications of country. Community radio mainly serves a defined community and is a form of public service broadcasting. It reflects the culture, ideology, and thoughts, norms, and values of a particular community. Community radio, as the media of citizens of a particular community, has become popular and new opportunity for both the media practitioner and grassroots people. Community radio helps to avail utilities and amenities for various development aspects of our country like education, health, water and sanitation, protection from natural disasters, address social issues at the community level and connect rural population with the government. It can be useful for the development of a particular target group like elderly, women and children. Phase 3. Phase 3 would consist of those frequencies which would be put on bid after Phase 2. Bidding is over and some experience has been gathered about the performance of Phase 2. Recommendations for Phase 3 would naturally follow such experience and would be made at later date. The overall objective would be to achieve the target of 60% coverage of population by FM radio stations. Of this, 30% had already been achieved by All India Radio at the start of the 10th plan. During the remaining period of the 10th plan, it is expected that private FM will complement. Radio is the most accessible mass medium of communication in use, and community radio is a crucial communication tool that is easy to run and maintain. It can capture more people, literate or illiterate at a time, and also have lower cost than the community video, newspaper, or television, particularly in developing countries. Ownership and control. Ownership and control of a community radio are usually the most important and crucial aspects in defining such a station. This can be decided through public and open meetings of the communities where leadership of a station is elected into a coordinate committee of the station. Decisions are taken in between annual general members meeting by the higher authority. Besides, higher authority fixes on the day-to-day running activities of the station and ensure the implementation of the policies. After a definite period decided by the community, these elected members of the management body arrange election for selecting future leaders. Community participation. Ownership and control of community radio are usually the most important and crucial aspects in defining such a station. This can be decided through public and open meetings of the communities where leadership of the station is elected into a coordinate committee of the station. Decisions are taken in between annual general members meeting by the higher authority. Besides, higher authority fixes on the day-to-day running activities of the station and ensure the implementation of the policies. After a definite period decided by the community, these elected members of the management body arrange election for selecting future leaders. Satellite radio. What is satellite radio? It is type of digital broadcast which transmits audio signals over large areas with greater clarity and consistency than conventional radio. A satellite radio service works by transmitting its signal from a ground-based station to one or more satellite orbiting Earth. The satellite bounces the signal back to specialized receivers on the ground, commonly located in automobiles and home stereo systems. Because the signal is broadcast from outer space, it can reach across the entire continent. Ground based repeaters augment the signal in urban areas where tall buildings might cause interference. Importance of satellite radio. Satellite radio typically offers a much clearer signal and greater dynamic range than conventional radio, often approaching the sound quality of CDs. Services typically offer 100 or more channels, including music, news, talk, and sports. Many channels are free of advertising. Thank you.